Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us tonight as we kind of go through the end of the show with the rants and the closings. At this point, I'd like to go ahead and give my thank yous. I want to go ahead and first of all, I want to thank Ty Cool for calling us up and giving us some love. Ty Cool can be found on globalscaleradio.net on Saturdays from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. I want to thank Desiree for hitting us up on the fan page. We see your notes. Fortunately, we couldn't get them all in. And the same goes for Hakeem, who hits us up every single week. Appreciate your contributions. I want to say peace to K-Dub. We know you listening. We got your notes. We already told Big Root what you told us to tell him. We not gonna call him out, but we told him what you told us.
I'll call him out.
We told him what you told us to tell him. So we appreciate that. We appreciate everybody that's listening to us. We see y'all listening to us in California, in Arizona. We see the people lighting up the Facebook page. We see you in Georgia, College Park. We see you in Jersey City, Maryland, and Delaware, and we also see you in Chicago. We appreciate everybody checking us out. You know, hashtag with Marcus J can be found every Monday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. globalscaleradio.net. And if you're listening to us, you know we're the highest rated show on globalscaleradio.net, and it's because of you, the listeners. So we appreciate you. We thank you. Listen to us next week as we go through the National Football League. We're going to give our preview show where we go through the league and we kind of give our picks. Of course, we got a Giants fan, Super Bowl champion Giants. We got former Super Bowl champion Washington Redskin and former Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboy fans in the office here. So we appreciate everybody listening to us, and we appreciate you listening to us next week as we go through that show. The first hour, of course, every single week, and you know, hashtag and Marcus J's Sports Hour. The second hour is always the socially conscious and entertainment hour, and we will always keep with that format. So with that being said, last thank you I want to give is to our guest in studio, Miss Nari Roberts, who's an old friend of mine from the old neighborhood in Jersey City, New Jersey, passing through us here in Richmond, Virginia. And she graced us with her presence tonight, and we want to thank her and give an opportunity to say her thank yous to whomever she wants to speak to now.
All right. Thank you, fellas, for the invitation. Thank you for letting me sit
You're
in.
welcome.
Ruben, I came to see you specifically on behalf of all the ladies out there listening. It was a pleasant experience. Don't be defensive. It was put your hands down. It was a very pleasant experience. You know, your likability went up to about 65%. It was down to 40. So
I'm cool with that.
Hey, you're making moves. You're going in the right direction. Thanks again for letting me sit in, fellas.
Appreciate it. Nah, thank you so much for joining us. And we, at this point, every single week, we start our rants with your man Big Rube in the section that he likes to call the Smash.
Here comes third person.
Big Rube.
It's Big Rube, Smash. Normally, I joke around a little bit. Every once in a while, I get a little serious. This time, I'm gonna take it back a little bit. Back in the day when I was growing up in high school, when we had cassette tapes, and you pass them around school, and you hear all the stuff that you really couldn't get at home because there was really no internet, and other than radio station, you really had nothing. Come on, everybody passed around the NWA. First time I ever heard about it. New Edition. Everybody passed around the cassettes and recording stuff like that. One thing I want to talk about today was about 20 years ago. Now, I wasn't in high school when I first heard this track, but it's a track that's respected amongst all musical artists and all musical genres. You never thought when you hear some kid screaming on a track, you'd be like, what is he screaming about? But 20 years ago, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana screamed on the track on Smells Like Teen Spirit. And at first, you thought about it and was like, well, what is this? You try to decipher what he was saying. Anything from Guatemala's to some words that you never even know what you were saying, because you really didn't know what he was saying. But what you knew was that song was a hit. They were one of the first groups to come out in the grunge area, area back in the day in Seattle. They was also one of the first groups to have an extra song on their CD, as it were, or tape. If you listen to 20 minutes after the last song, you got an extra song. I can't remember the name of it, but it's important for everybody to realize that music is good and it comes from everywhere. Honestly, let's just be real. You can sit there and fake the funk all you want, whether you black, white, Puerto Rican, or Asian. When Smells Like Teen Spirit came on, you nod your head, you tried to sing along with it, but that's pretty much how it sounds like. But you know what? That's one song I would say brought everyone together in a weird way. Now, for those of you who say, I ain't like that song, let's be honest. You got it home and you turned it up a little bit when nobody was around. Guilty pleasure? Yes. But ultimately, that does not discredit the song in the way music is today. All I say is keep an open mind. There's something out there that you may like that somebody else doesn't like. But then again, there's always something out there that everybody likes. They may not tell you that they like it, but when they in their car driving home or somewhere else with their windows up, they're really secretly bumping it. It's Big Rube, Smash. See you on Labor Day.
Pass the Dutchie on the left side. Pass the Dutchie on the...
That song was terrible.
I bet you jammed to it.
That song ain't terrible, man.
Yeah, you know he jammed to it.
That's man.
Ruben, again. See, there he dropped. He dropped his. You gave him. He back to the 40%.
Well,
you
you
dropped
know
his 25. I know you just dropped him, didn't you?
And you can say what you want, but that wasn't a crossover song.
It was.
It was. To what? Was a crossover? Street?
It was a crossover.
Oh my gosh.
The Dutchie. Yeah, I mean those were a couple of kids. There were two sets of brothers who sang that song. They were kids
from England.
They would know.
And did they sell 10 times platinum?
Okay.
Just because it was.
I'm just saying.
All right, Carlton Banks.
You know what?
I'm saying.
Carlton
Be
Banks.
mad all you want.
It's not unusual, Carlton.
This is very unusual. Carlton Banks ain't had a car note in 7, going on 8 years. Carlton Banks got a damn car note again. Carlton Banks ain't happy. I'm gonna be third person like Big Rube is.
I like it.
Because Carlton Banks is pissed.
Hold on, how you gonna say it? You gonna be third person, and then you gonna be third person?
Pissed. Carlton
No,
Banks
interrupt me all the time.
I'm gonna have to pay this sucker every 2 weeks because I'm gonna have to get this sucker paid off real fast.
Smart man.
I'm not trying to sit here and extend this loan out 5 years. It's a little small amount, but still, that small amount is 5 years too long for me. I feel like crying again. I really do. I got a new vehicle. It's younger than what I had. I appreciate that. I don't appreciate how I lost my baby. I'm a little still upset about that. I love you, honey. But the fact that I got a car note again, I am not happy. That's a damn bill I could live without. I'm just saying. Y'all pray for a brother. I'm upset again. I'm gonna stop talking in the third person. I know I am. There's a Big Rube thing. It really is. If y'all never listen to it, go to YouTube, you Panther. He be posting the tracks, the podcast and everything. I'm coming home, honey.
I mean, I give him an opportunity to say his rant. Let him finish. Go ahead.
I appreciate it. I'm done, dude. I don't want to talk no more. I'm upset I got that damn car note.
I just, it's a grown man crying, and
it is.
I have a hard time. Yeah, I mean, I kind of bug. He's my boy, and I love him, and I listen to him cry and stuff, and it's highly disturbing. But
I know, but see, let's go back to the fact he said "Pass the Dutchie" wasn't a crossover song.
Yeah, I mean, that's disturbing.
Is he gonna say Milli Vanilli won't crossover too?
Yeah, well, when I played Milli Vanilli on the air last week, and I got heat for it.
Oh.
So, but that's all right. We'll leave it there. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. I want to thank everybody for listening to us once again. I want to thank Nyree for joining us. Thank Carlton Banks for always being on my right side, being my phone screener, and being my number one man. I want to thank Big Rube for also being in studio, refusing to give me a fist bump. That's all right. I'll buy him a drink later. No, I won't. At this time, every single year, every 4 years or so, many of us see the election cycle. We got it on our minds. The last few weeks, that I've done rants have either directly or indirectly had the presidential race as a backdrop, and of course this week it's no different. My first question is, why all the venom? Now, I'm no novice. I know that's a rhetorical question. You can go all the way back to 1860, the presidential election, where we saw Republican Abraham Lincoln win in a landslide with 39%. Next closest person had 21%. He won against Democrats John Breckinridge and Stephen Douglas and the Constitutional Union Party member John Bell, back in the days where you didn't just have two cats. You had whoever got enough people, to follow them. Lincoln, of course, at the time was seen as a rebel, an outsider, and was the subject of many direct and indirect hateful rhetoric. Lincoln, as we know, would eventually lead the charge that led to the Emancipation Proclamation, and that act, of course, led directly to his assassination. It's funny to note that he's our current president's favorite president. So if we look at history, many times our leaders who try to embrace the emancipation of the middle and the lower and the slavery classes, many of their lives ended by the assassin's bullet. I give you Lincoln. I give you John and Bobby Kennedy, Dr. King, Malcolm X, to name a few. Others, of course, were neutralized by the press and the media and of their own poor choices. For that example, I give you Marcus Garvey, Al Sharpton, or even Ron Paul. That's why I'm very disturbed by the mean and spiteful and inspired attacks I see in the current election cycle. I make this statement as an independent who supports our president, partially because I trust him, and also because I don't trust his opponent. What disturbs me is how his opponents try to twist things, make it seem like the president is the source of the discourse in this cycle. While the president's supporters question his opponent's business record that shows his company bankrupted smaller companies, the presumptive Republican nominee supporters show up at rallies or concerts and say things like the president's a Muslim, he hates farms, he hates military, and we hate him. While the president's supporters question his opponents for releasing only 2 tax returns, and he claims they won't release more because they don't want the public to know how much they tithe, the president himself released 10 tax returns. His opponent wants to make jokes and raise old tired allegations about the president's birth location, saying no one asked to see his birth certificate, clearly playing to the crowd who believes in that nonsense. So it's funny to me. Not funny, ha ha ha, but funny like what the hell, when we see how they like to twist facts and make what isn't true, using coded language and untruths to further a so-called winning agenda. These are the same people who said on day one of the current administration that they wanted a one-term president before anything was done, any policy was even signed. In an appearance on Anderson Cooper 360, Tea Party leader Mark Williams claimed that the president was, quote, racist in chief, and also, quote, Indonesian Muslim turned welfare thug who didn't have America's best interest at heart. I sure like to see the analysis for that statement. Like, really? He's a Muslim who was slammed for sitting in a Christian church with Reverend Wright for over 20 years and not denouncing his incendiary rhetoric. So let me get this straight. The president's mom kind of knew that he would grow up to be the president, forged his birth certificate, covered up his Muslim heritage, and raised him as a Christian and fostered his radical persona. Man, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. What's more likely is a group of politicians more concerned with winning the White House with race baiting, mind control, and fear mongering than a group concerned with making things right for the people they are paid to serve. I remember a couple years ago when the Dixie Chicks came out against our last president. It's the last time many of us even heard of the Dixie Chicks, wasn't it? What's the difference about these presidents? Their party? Their background? Upbringing? One guy grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. The other guy grew up with government assistance and living with his grandparents. Anything else different? Sounds like the same demographics for the same 2 parties. Same current race. And they are different. But there's a very clear choice, people. You go out and vote. Vote for who you want to vote. I just hope that America sees through the BS and makes the right choice. But it's something to think about. That's the Murr. Marcus' unrelated rant that ain't got nothing to do with what we talking about here today. It's the end of the show. I want to say once again, as we say every single week at this point, voter suppression is real. Make sure your paperwork is right. When November comes, I don't want to hear no nonsense about I ain't know I had to do this, I ain't know I had to do that. They trying to tell you they don't want you voting because the dude you might vote for might not be the dude they want to be the president. I want to say peace to all the stars and all the squares and the abundance of water. The fool is thirsty. Those are the words of Bob Marley. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. We'll be back next week. Peace.